All right. So with that, I guess we'll get going. No one needs to, if the late people can miss me, so that's a benefit for them. So I want to thank everybody for taking your time to join us today. I'm really excited for this webinar. We've been working on it for a little bit of time with Terence and Mara here. I want to start by just introducing myself. I'm Justin Hatfield. I'm the president of HECO out of Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're an electric motor and performance systems company for those that don't know us. And we believe our specialty is optimizing the performance of electric motor driven powertrains. We do that throughout kind of the Midwestern United States, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, but larger units throughout most of the US. So what does that mean for us? It's our different areas we're in, from electric motor repair to electric motor distribution to a dedicated condition monitoring department. And then we have this management side of our business as well, where we manage assets for a variety of companies across the country. So that's the most I'm going to say about HECO, just introduce myself and kind of what we do. And so what brought us here today? So a few years ago, this guy, Terence O'Hanlon, started sharing my blog posts I would write and commenting on them. And I started to look at what they did. And, you know, I started to dig into Reliabilityweb.com, and I had been an Uptime subscriber for years, getting the magazine. And, you know, I started to go down this path and started seeing what they're doing. And it really connected with me from an aspect of reliability and asset management is such a complicated topic, so many moving parts at all times. And when I first got introduced to the Uptime Elements, which will be talked about today, it impressed me immensely, and just said that, you know, it's a way of making a common language and a common communication and simplifying this big complex topic into a way that you can actually talk about it. So that's, you know, kind of where we kind of got connected. So we're going to start with Mara today. So Mara's screen is who you guys are seeing right now. So Mara has been working at Reliabilityweb, Reliabilityweb.com, I should say, a community platform providing topics such as reliability leadership, asset management, maintenance, and other related topics to industry for 8 years. However, she didn't begin her career in the world of reliability. She studied neurolinguistics, achieved her master's in neurolinguistics programming, and is currently in the process of becoming fluent in 13 languages. That's impressive. The education set her up for success, giving her an opportunity to build skills in public relations and hospitality. Her background made her the perfect candidate for Reliabilityweb.com. As the global relationship leader at Reliabilityweb.com and the Reliability Leadership Foundation, Mara gets to show the groundwork for reliability and asset management by traveling around the world and teaching people about the opportunities for diversity and growth in the areas of reliability engineering, asset condition management, work execution management, leadership, and asset management. With that, I'll turn it over to Mara, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Justin, and the HECO team for having us today. And, you know, part of the value, I will say, traveling the world learning, mainly learning from the different people that we know worldwide. And 13, yes, because 13 is my favorite number. And why not to push a little bit more, right? This now, as you know, with this new normal, working from home, and also pushing myself for 5 languages right now. So at the same time, so waking up or early or going to bed late, but nothing will be done if we don't really commit or we act. And that's what we really teach with Uptime Elements. We're going to dive a little bit into the framework and the system. So thank you very much to all of you. And I say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Now everybody joins Reliabilityweb. I'm very, very happy and honored to also be in the United States. I'm originally from Cuba and grew up in Ecuador. Been in the United States 10 years, a proud American 4 years ago. So I'm so happy to be here. Reliabilityweb is a community where we connect, we share experiences, we learn from the practitioners, and it's a platform. What you see in front of you, this is the main website, reliabilityweb.com, because Terence started placing information since 1996. So it's vast knowledge with articles, with the different tips and news. It's a really great place. If you want to find information, you just look at the search and you're going to find it there. So this is something that we suggest. Now, we also work what we say for a name bigger than ourselves. What we want is the mothers, the fathers are going to work every day, that they return back to their homes intact, with their fingers, with their lives, right? And Terence will speak a little bit about some statistics, but it is really important to have that reliability in our lives in general. We make the world work. That's what we say with the information we provide. And we want to make sure that people are safer, firstly, safer, successful, and sustainable, because it's one planet Earth and we need to have that sustainability. So I invite you, reliabilityweb.com. If you have checked it, dive deeper. If you have not, welcome to the website. Part of the knowledge we share also is with the radio podcast. We have more than 200 interviews. So if you want to participate, be part and share your knowledge, let us know. My email, Justin can insert it in the chat, mora@reliabilityweb.com. We will be very happy to know what you're doing in your different areas of expertise. And Reliability TV, because we have been recording more than 7 years and plus different conferences from ourselves that we provide, that we do. So all these topics to the right side, digitalization, reliability engineering, leadership, you name it, you can watch it at any time. Also, Uptime Magazine, this is a digital magazine. We're going to be relaunching it this year. So in January, actually this month. So I invite you to take a look on the website. You click just Uptime and you can download it and share it with everybody. And we're proud to say we publish more than 150 books. So if you are listening, you want to publish an idea book, let us know and we will make it happen. My favorite part of the research that we do is what we call research reports. So these are different topics that Reliabilityweb has been investigating, searching, and we put all the knowledge and expertise on them. So to take a look at them, I have people from around the world that says, Mora, thank you to the report, I did my thesis, or I presented this to my clients. So it is information that we really suggest that you take a look. Now to the world, we do want to announce, you see, in 2021, we are going to be back to the live audience and with Maximo World in August in Orlando. This is going to be a live event. It's going to be, of course, with all the safety measures, and we really want you to come. We invite you so we can share this Maximo World event. We have in the past more than 1,200 people, but now we're targeting quality over quantity, right? So especially with the safety. So we really invite you to see us there. And if you only can travel once, this is the location, Marco Island, if you wish, or Marco Island or Orlando, both great destinations. December, closest to Christmas. This is on the first week of January, second week basically. And we invite you, this is the International Maintenance Conference. We do here award ceremonies such as the Solution Awards and the Uptime Awards. So also invite you to apply for Uptime Awards. We open them in April. So if you're a practitioner and you want to take a look, email me and I'll send you more information. HECO invited us today to talk about the Uptime Elements framework. And just to set the context and the stage for the presentation of Terence, in the language point of view, speaking about this is a language. And I say I speak reliability language. Why? Because I can speak with these Uptime Elements. Why do we do it and what is it? And in the human being, these two questions are so important to make any task happen. A human can perform a task, but when you explain the why is it and why we do it, it gets something different. The human gets what is in it for me if I perform this task. Also, this Uptime Elements framework in the context of asset management means that everybody at every level in the organization understands in a basic mode what is a failure mode, what is a failure, what is a defect, how can I eliminate a defect. This is not only operations, maintenance, reliability department. This should be everybody, human resources, procurement, because Safety is owned by everybody, and reliability is the same. Everybody enables or disables safety. Everybody enables or disables reliability. At the beginning, the framework was created with the technical activities, what we call the 3 domains to the left side, leadership, because without that, nothing happens. Later, we added the asset management portion to sustain that program. And if you see, also you have on below the asset management timeline, which now Terence explored deeper with his book 10 Rise on Asset Management with Ramesh Gulati, and basically is where the reliability should live. Notice that with Uptime Elements, we say not only lives in the design phase, starts even earlier from the business needs analysis. I'm going to also have Terence speak deeper into this, and we do want to hear your questions. Framework-wise, we also have the digitalization framework. It's not a secret. I think for all of us, COVID accelerated the pace of digitalization in our organizations. These Zoom meetings and everything from your Google Calendar, everything digital. So we have this framework also on digitalization. We're deeper into digital handovers and digital twins as well. Some of the community members that we work that are using the Uptime Elements worldwide as a system of communication. With the Association of Asset Management Professionals, where I have the pleasure to be director of the group Women in Reliability and Asset Management, we're diving deeper with this framework. And once you achieve the certification, you get the BEL domains, different mastery domains in the area of expertise. And if you arrive to get them all, it's going to be black belt. Women in Reliability and Asset Management, many of you are members. It's a group with more than 850 women worldwide. We meet face-to-face during our conferences. We're going to be meeting, but now we're doing monthly webinars that we invite you also to attend. And with the foundation, the Reliability Leadership Foundation, we're doing legacy work in these 4 different fields, which is reliability, diversity, and inclusion, digitalization, data center, and sustainability. And briefly, with the diversity and inclusion, we talk about how diversity can impact your organization, from the roles, the whole holistic theme from diversity in general, and how it's important, how can this increase the performance in organizations. Digitalization, artificial intelligence, machine learning, digital twins and digital handovers, data center. We're putting together also a research report for the industry with a report on manager's guide on data centers. And my favorite is sustainability, which we also did a webinar recently because we're mapping the 17 United Nations goals, sustainable goals, with Uptime Elements and with the 10 rights on asset management. So we're trying to map how criticality analysis, how lubrication can eradicate or help to decrease poverty, hunger. So this is really passionate work, and these groups are creating this important work to the community. If you want to learn more about this, do email me. And with this, Justin, is so much to cover, right? But at least we want to say thank you for providing the space to give a general context of what we do, that we do say this is work bigger than ourselves. With this, I go back to Justin. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mara. That was excellent to talk. I mean, as you can tell, this team is busy. That group, they always have a lot of things going on. And if you've never been to one of their conferences, I'll tell you an inside secret. They know how to throw a party. All right, let me throw that out there too. So with that, I'm gonna introduce you guys to Terence. So Terence O'Hanlon is a successful business leader with deep knowledge and experience in reliability and asset management, including digital twins, IoT, and digitalization. His work developing Uptime Elements reliability framework and asset management system as a cultural change management methodology has been used by thousands of organizations over the past 10 years. Mr. O'Hanlon has trained over 30,000 professionals on the use of Uptime Elements framework since 2013. He is the co-author of 10 Rights of Asset Management, a popular industry standard for asset lifecycle management. He is a popular keynote presenter with the ability to deliver awareness about the business advantages of asset management and reliability to top management. He has been expanding to do presentations about digital twins and artificial intelligence. He is the publisher of Uptime Magazine, a leading industry magazine, and the group also published over 200 books. He is also the executive director of the Reliability Leadership Foundation and the Association of Asset Management Professionals. So with that, I'll introduce Terence here, and he's going to share his screen, and we'll get going.
Okay, let me make sure I get the right PowerPoint up here. I think I will be able to do that. And share. And let's get to where we want to go here. Let's see, it is.
And if what Terence talks to you guys about, and you really feel that you want to dig in deeper, because this is going to be such a, it's so much to cram into a short period of time. I'm sure he's going to probably talk about that, but seriously, explore the certified reliability leadership training courses, the 4-day courses, and things like that. So I've done it. I've gone through it. It is one of those things that almost, it's life changing. So let's just say that. So with that, I'll turn it over to Terence, and we can see your screen now. So looking good.
Terrific. Works out good there. Great. Well, wow. 2 incredible. I would have liked just to listen to you 2 all day. That was fantastic. Justin, is really an American success story. They have a busy team and a good team, because in addition to what they do, in addition to the services and the products that they offer freely knowledge. And that's where I met Justin and his team, and it's not just Justin, there's other people at HECO that write the blog also. They're always sharing information about reliability, primarily around motors, because that's their business. But they go up to the top of the mountain and talk about reliability in a very holistic way. And really just advise clients and non-clients how to achieve reliability with their motor systems. And as anybody on this call, and plus it's a HECO audience, there's an Achilles heel called motors. And not only that, life is just not easy. Life isn't set up to deliver you reliability on a silver platter. So, people like Justin and team that share like that, I find very appreciative. Then, followed by an introduction and overview by Maura Abad. She's been now doing this work for 7 years, coming from a completely different industry, and basically is fluent in the language of reliability. So besides the 13 languages, by the way, I'm American, I speak exactly 1 language, and now maybe 2 because of reliability. But, she speaks reliability quite comfortably. And so when she's talking to people, they think that, maybe she's an engineer, actually, because of all the work she's done there. So really great overview. Justin's right. We're busy. We like to move around. Before COVID, we were traveling about 250, 300 days out of the year to come and learn. There's a challenge out there. We've been studying. If you look at the slide that I'm opening up with, we've been doing continuously connected research for best practices in reliability since 2002, when we did our first PM preventive maintenance best practices study, trying to figure out what's going on here. I'm old enough to know a lot of the people who developed a lot of the original approaches to reliability, and I would watch them, and they were fabulous. They would be in Atlanta, and they would work with a company there, and they would create a total transformation, and then they would get up and move that down, maybe even sometimes in the same company. And they would go down to Dallas and try to do the exact same thing that they did in Atlanta, and it would just crash. It just wouldn't produce the same results that it produced in Atlanta. And I just couldn't deal with that. I couldn't understand it. I wanted to know why that was going on. So we started to study what we call best practices. And since 2002, Reliabilityweb has the deepest body of contiguously, longitudinally connected research in the industry, as far as we're concerned. And we're doing more. We've got more coming out early in 2021. We just completed enterprise asset management, CMMS, and asset performance management. We sort of put that together, and we'll launch a digitalization for reliability and asset management just in a few days here. So we're always trying to kind of collect information about what you're doing, how's it working for you, what's not working for you, why is it not working, and dive in. Because of the first sentence, The world is not set up to deliver you reliability. You have to be very clever and very creative to do so. And as Justin said, it can be a little overwhelming when you look at everything that's got to happen to make reliability happen. So listen, when you turn on the lights in your house or in your office, you think about it, because there's about 1,000 people that are causing that light to go on, working very hard. That's reliability. You turn on the light and the light comes on. There's a lot of people working very hard to make that happen. But if you look at the research, we started to notice that there was a common thread that kind of came through. What we really say is that about 70% of these reliability journeys, they don't really generate sustainable business success. That's what that circle graphic's really trying to tell you. Only about 30% run the gauntlet, so to speak, and they get through and they create what we call sustainable business success. Our belief is if you're doing something to make the company better, a process better, it should show up somewhere. Generally in commercial business, we like it to show up on the financial statement. That's business, right? Pluses and minuses, and we want our contribution to be a plus. And it isn't always a plus. Many times it fails to be a plus. It might be a plus in the first 6 months, but then it might fade down from that. And so we just want to take a look at that. An example, this is getting a little old, but we've done it. We've brought, actually, I got another one that we just did last year, and it matches almost exactly. We asked people, look, if you used reliability-centered maintenance, the methodology that they use for aircraft, for defense, for nuclear plants, to create your maintenance tasks, to create your preventive maintenance program. If you used reliability-centered maintenance to do it, and you stopped using reliability-centered maintenance, why? Why did you stop? And a whopping, 18% said, well, that's Terry, because it worked. It worked. We got our reliability strategy. We put it in our CMMS. Started doing work orders. Well, okay. What happened to the other 82%? Well, if you look, funding ran out. RCM analysis was too difficult. It was not effective. There was no management support, too little manpower. I love this one. The RCM analysis was completed, but the results were never implemented. In other words, in our 3-ring notebook, we have the most beautiful RCM analysis ever performed, but we just didn't implement it. So there's something going on here, because there's nothing wrong with RCM. Aircraft fly and don't crash. Nuclear plants operate. Defense systems work. RCM works just fine. There's something we're doing with RCM that isn't working so fine. CMMS. I'm kind of funny. All my apps on my phone basically are free. I do have a couple of $5 apps, but my $5 apps, when I press that button on a $5 app, I do have high performance expectations. Let me just tell you that. I have very high performance expectations. Now, have you spent a little more than $5 on your CMMS, on your computerized maintenance management system? I mean, if you have SAP, or you have Maximo, or you have Infor, or you have Oracle, you have some of the bigs, you spent a lot of money on that software. We could only get 12%. And by the way, we just closed on December 31st, this exact survey, bringing it up to speed for 2020 and 2021, and it hasn't moved an inch. I think it was 13%, so maybe moved a centimeter. 13% said that they considered their EAM or their CMMS excellent when it came to supporting their maintenance process. Otherwise, there were holes in the process. Some, after working 6 or 7 years on their CMMS, thought it was pretty good. Some thought it was okay, and some didn't think it was very good at all. So there's something going on here. Because for me, after I spent $10 million on software, I'm a funny guy. I kind of want it to work excellent. I just have this funny thing, 10 million, I have this vision of excellence. So maybe that's just me. So you're on this webinar, so that tells me that you're interested in reliability, and I'm going to take my hat off to that and say thank you, because you can make your workplace safer, you can make it more sustainable, and absolutely you can make it more successful. I also want to just warn you that you're on a highway that 70% of your colleagues fail on. So you're very brave, or maybe you don't know that fact yet, and you took off on the journey and you thought maybe you got about 100% success rate. There is a lot of barrier to reliability, and it isn't barrier necessarily even from the physics world. It's a lot of barrier from your organization. The organization sometimes is one of the blockers. So, you know, Justin explained Uptime Elements as a cultural change management tool, and I do like that. I like that description. It is much more than that, and you know, but I love how he described it, because it is really a good change management tool. Why? You know, change, what you're really trying to do is you're trying to create awareness, and you're trying to create desire, and you're trying to create knowledge for change management. You're trying to create reinforcement. You know, you're trying to listen to the stakeholders and all. And this gives you the ability to sort of calibrate. When you use a framework, it sort of freezes definitions, you know, so, okay, here's the framework we're going to use. Well, I don't like that green button in the middle there. I don't agree with that. Well, okay, that's fine. You don't have to agree with everything on the framework, but the framework is rock solid. So in other words, what I mean by that is it's not moving. The framework is what it is. So you can calibrate your agreement. You can calibrate your disagreement right to it, but it doesn't move. And so one of the problems we notice with organizations is that when we ask a simple question, and I invite you maybe after this webinar to do this with your own teams, just ask a simple question, bring your team together and ask them really to be open-minded, don't play games, and ask the question, what is reliability? And what you'll find is Jim's going to say one thing, Sam's going to say another, John's going to say another, and Timmy's going to say another. Now, listen, all their answers are going to be good. They're going to be good answers. They're reasonable enough answers as to what is reliability. But what you'd notice is that all four of them had a different definition of reliability. And if, like us, you believe reliability is a journey, you want to use that metaphor that reliability is a journey, well, you got to have a destination if you're going to bring the whole team together. I mean, it's okay if you just want to say, hey, everybody go run after what you think is reliability, and we'll meet up when we can. But that can be a little wasteful. And what you really want to do is focus everybody on what is reliability. So it isn't so important what that definition is. I mean, you know, you can get the classic reliability is making sure the asset can deliver a certain outcome or certain function under stated conditions for a certain period of time. But nobody really understands that. So we need a definition for reliability that your team agrees on. Really, let's not even call it a definition of reliability. Let's just call it a destination. Any journey needs a clear destination, and Uptime Elements help support developing that clear definition, keeping everybody aligned to it. And if you're noticing there's something a little different on this Uptime Elements drawing, and you're trying to figure out what it is, it's the 10 rights on the bottom. The framework that Maura showed, that is the official framework. I have some special dispensation from the organization, so occasionally I can do modifications without approval. And so I took the 10 rights, the circle, that's the 10 rights of asset management, flattened it out, kind of looks like Skittles a little bit. Those are like Skittle colors, and put it at the bottom because I like our description that I worked with Ramesh Gulati. If you don't know him, he wrote Maintenance and Reliability Best Practices. Great book. Go out and get it right now, please. He just released his 3rd edition of that book. It just became clear that 10 rights fit with this, not much better. That original asset management timeline that's in the bottom came from ISO 55000. I did a lot of work with ISO and writing the early ISO 55000, as well as writing 17025. 17021-5, sorry. I'm one of 6 people, the only American who wrote the auditing and assessment and competencies for asset management as well. So as Maura said, when we first developed Uptime Elements, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what it is. We didn't have that yellow over to the right. We didn't have the business processes. We thought leadership was going to handle everything. Leadership, leadership, leadership. And it's such a cliche. I want to say one thing about leadership before I rip into the framework is that, you know, when we went to go tackle, you know, a lot of people are very, you know, suspicious of, you know, especially the old dogs in the industry. How could you go to a class and learn leadership? You know, well, you go to Covey, you go to Maxwell and you learn leadership. Actually, what you learn from them is traits of leaders. That's not leadership. We've developed a method we think that can really put you right in touch with leadership. You already know a lot about leadership, but we've simplified the approach to leadership. So absolutely, I stand before you and say, if you go through one of these workshops that I'm leading, I promise you that you will leave that workshop being a reliability leader and exercising reliability leadership as natural self-expression. I have no issue personally and professionally making you that promise. You will do that. So when you listen to these negative naysayers, which our community is filled with them, they know everything. They're like a guy at a diner sitting at the table, you know, and they got an opinion on world economy. They got an opinion on world peace. You know, they got an opinion about everything. They're wrong. So anyway, this is a really fun framework, and we've been working on it since 2013. We've trained 30,000 people on this framework since 2013 on every continent except for Antarctica. And I really want to get to Antarctica. I'm not sure I'll be able to lead a CRL class down there, but I hope I can. We have trained people who work in Antarctica, but we have not been to Antarctica. And one of the places I definitely really want to go. What is this thing anyway? Well, you know, it looks like Mendelow's elements chart, because I was sitting in a science class, my son's science class, and at a parent teachers meeting, and that thing hit me like a ton of bricks, and I thought this is a great way to express reliability, and I went to work on it right after that. Some of you may remember I got sick way back in 2011, got taken out for about 18 months, got paralyzed. And I'm, you know, thank God and thank all the people who prayed for me and brought me back. You know, I'm on my second bonus here. So I view it that way. So we launched Uptime Elements. It started to provide a lot of clarity for people. We broke it into what we call domains. Maura explained a little bit about this already. There's 3 technical domains over on the left-hand side. These are what we typically are always talking about when it comes to maintenance and reliability. By the way, those 2 words, anyway, but maintenance and reliability. What we noticed is that people do sort of live in their domain. In other words, the people who are in orange, reliability engineering for maintenance, they're focused. They're the reliability engineers. They're focused on failure modes. They're focused on root cause analysis. They're focused on, you know, criticality analysis. They're doing the reliability engineering. They're creating the maintenance strategy. They may not have a lot of expertise in the green. They don't know a lot about vibration analysis or ultrasound analysis. They know enough about it. They know what it'll do, but they're not vibration analysts. Also, they're not maintenance planners, and they're not maintenance schedulers, and they're not CMMS analysts, and they're not MRO or spare parts experts. So we started to notice that in companies, they were organized by these functional specialties that we put in the domains, but that they had to work together because they were all sort of interdependent with each other. And we would see companies make the journey very well for, you know, 2 years maybe, but then 3 years sometimes, but then they would fall back down. We saw these short journeys, and then the journey would somehow dispense. It would be, something would happen. The leader would get promoted. The company went through financial trouble, so they stopped investing in reliability. Something would happen to roll that program back. And we want the program to sustain. Reliability really is a game of momentum. So we thought leadership was the key. That will unlock it, because we had been doing a lot of work in the leadership area. And it turned out that leadership is critical. leadership is crucial. You're a leader and you have to express leadership. Leadership is only action, by the way. That's one of our discoveries in the last 7 years, is that leadership isn't traits. There are nice traits that some leaders have, but the least likely person you think is going to be a leader, when the zombie apocalypse happens, all of a sudden they rise to leadership. You do not want to discount that. In other words, you want to bring out the leader in everyone. And leadership is only action. There is nothing else to even talk about. Leadership is only action. And anyone can be a leader. So we found that that was an absolutely fantastic foundation to build on, but that was not enough until we put in, because the business processes, the asset management processes, all the way to the right. Think about it. Your company has a policy to take a vacation. You have a policy where you park your car. You know, you have all kinds of policies. You don't have a policy to run your $1 billion worth of assets. You don't have a strategic plan to run your $1 billion worth of assets. Now you might, I don't know you. You may be one of the few, one of the 5% or 10% who do have policies, who do have written strategic plans. But those are so critical to get over that 3-year. That's one of the ways we get over the 3-year. So I'm going to dive in a little bit. On that orange, we want to understand how things fail. It's very important, even that people in purchasing, people in HR. So we try to simplify it. Some of it's a little geeky, but we try to keep it as simple as possible. Understand how things fail. And then how do we talk about it? Is it that the pumps broke, the motor broke? Hey, Justin, the motor broke. That doesn't help him very much. He'll still come and help you, but it's more useful for him and his team if you can give him information. If you speak the language of failure, they're going to be able to speak the language of reliability as a response. And then understand what's our once we know something's going to fail, what are our options? And what's our treatment for failure? Many of you already know that if you look at the failure patterns that came out of Nolan and Heap's Reliability Center Maintenance Report, and then since have been backed up by several other studies, we have combined the results of 3 studies for this particular graphic. And really, the takeaway for this is that the top 3 patterns relate to age, or time, or usage, or some period. And if you look and you add the minimum and the maximum, that's less than 1/4 of your assets. Now, wait a second. We're spending much more than a 1/4 of our time doing preventive maintenance, doing time-directed tasks. The reason we do time-directed tasks is we want to get the asset life, we want to get the value out of the asset, but then we want to replace, restore, renew, be right at the end. We want to get the maximum asset life and then step in right at the right moment to restore, repair, renew, replace, right? That's what we want to do. So we get the whole, but that strategy really is only effective at maximum 23%. It's probably a lot less than that. So if we're spending more than 23% of the time doing time-directed tasks that are on a periodicity basis, it's possible we could actually be creating problems. Because if you look, those bottom 3 patterns, those are what we call random. It doesn't mean chaos. It just means that 77 to 92%, there's no time-based pattern that we can rely on. In other words, it could fail on Tuesday, but it could fail a year from Tuesday or 10 years from Tuesday, some sort of reasonable period. The likelihood of failure stays constant. So like a light bulb, for example, is just a good one people can really grasp right away. So we need some other kind of strategy for reliability than maintenance. So when we look at that, and I know I'm giving you a lot of information in a very short period of time, which system should we be looking at? We love to see you doing a Pareto of bad actors. What is actually eating your lunch? We love the theoretical side of reliability. Love it, love it, love it. But what we really want, hey, over the last 3 months, or over the last 12 months, or over the last 24 months, if you haven't been doing it, which assets and systems are having the most corrective work orders by cost? Now, you could also do work order count, And you could also do downtime incidents. Those three things are kind of interesting. To me, the biggest one is cost. And then you can decide, do I want to do a robust analysis like reliability center maintenance? It can be expensive and time consuming. Or do I want to do something simpler like PM optimization or maintenance task analysis? Or do I want to do something even simpler and just template the maintenance tasks or follow the OEM recommendations? There's a problem in doing that. Or just do a peer-to-peer recommendation. And basically what our choices are, they're not that complicated. And that's why those failure patterns are kind of interesting. Look, we are going to choose to do a time-directed task to prevent the failure or to ensure the function. We are going to do a condition-directed task. I like to call it detective rather than predictive. We'll talk about that in a minute. And we got to go find hidden failures. Those are the things that aren't visible to the operator. Either that or we're going to choose just to accept the risk, or we're going to redesign it. You know, the other thing that came out of Nolan and Heap's report, RCM report, was sensors were starting to come on the market. And we could detect a potential failure way before it became a catastrophic failure, way before the motor burst into flames. You know, we can detect there's a problem with it. Justin and his team have all kinds of high-tech instruments that they can give you early warning that there's a problem with the motor, right? We call that P, the potential failure. And then F is the functional failure. The motor might still be running, it's just not within specifications. It's not delivering the function. And we need enough of an interval, the P to F interval, to be able to plan and schedule that basic intervention. You know, we never like to leave well enough alone. So when we saw the P to F curve, we thought it didn't really tell the whole story. We want to tell it with the D to I to P to F curve. And D is design, because that is where resistance to failure or reliability is made. You really have to get back to that specification. Maura was talking about early life cycle business needs analysis. That's where you've got the leverage to influence reliability fantastically. Then that green area, the installation, running it to the point where there is a potential failure. That green is green because that's where the money part of your asset is. Your asset only is making you money when it's operating in clean and healthy state. You know, so if we limit ourselves to the P to F curve, the issue with that for us is that to the right of the P to F curve, on the right-hand side of the P to F curve, that's after the defect. We really don't want after the defect. We want to see what we can do before the defect. So when you read my crazy rantings on LinkedIn about predictive maintenance, why I don't like that is that predictive maintenance is a near-death experience. In other words, look, to predict the death of an asset, the asset has to be dying. I don't want my asset to be dying. I would prefer my asset never to die. So why do I want to introduce an illness to the asset that's going to cause it to die? That's predictive maintenance to me. You're waiting until the asset's sick, and then you're detecting the sickness, and then you're curing the sickness. What if we didn't let the asset get sick to begin with? That's what we call asset condition management. That's that green part of the graph. And we base it on precision installation. Justin and his team are going to tell you, you can do all the condition monitoring you want. If you don't specify that motor right, you don't pick the right design on that motor, you don't install it right, you don't commission it right, if you don't get all the early life cycle stuff right, you're not going to get reliability right, because there's no basis for it. So we start with what we call precision maintenance and operator-based reliability, getting them involved. So doing every precision alignment, precision torquing, precision balancing. We do everything right to avoid the defect, the P, ever happening. The other thing we do is we focus cross-functionally, not just maintainers and operators, could be engineers, could be purchasing, could be HR, to actually start removing the defects that are especially beyond the control of maintenance. Process inputs are beyond the control of maintenance. Raw material is beyond the control of maintenance. Bad design, build, install is beyond the control of maintenance. So we have a cross-functional defect elimination. So look at precision maintenance, operator-driven reliability, and defect elimination as a basis for what you might call predictive maintenance if you have to. We call it asset health asset health certainty. We want to use those instruments to know we don't have a potential failure in our assets. And then we want to align the asset condition management with the value that our senior management wants us to produce with those assets. They took their money and they converted them into assets, and they want something back for that money. We have to align our activities to make sure our assets can always deliver what top management wants. And we use a lot of different technologies, and we blend those technologies. Sometimes people pick their favorite technology, ultrasound or vibration or motor testing. You need a whole slate of condition monitoring. If you've got a typical industrial plant, you use them together. One of the things we've seen lately is that there's subject matter experts that get kind of the super high-end condition monitoring instruments, and then we can outfit some of the other technicians and some of the other operators with maybe screening instruments to tell us there's a bearing problem or there's a temperature problem or an electrical problem, and then they call the experts. But where it's really trending is, we used to listen with a screwdriver. Then we had battery operated data collectors. Now we have Wi-Fi enabled cloud-based, vibration and motor current and RPM and things of that nature. Where we're ultimately going is to what we call a digital twin. You'll have your driven set over here physically, and then you'll have a digital twin of that. And basically what's happening in that space is, your motor and your pump set is the source. That is the data. Right? We need to somehow connect to that, and we got to read the sensors that we can read: voltage, current, vibration, ultrasound, fluid analysis, and we compare it to the digital model, the digital twin of that drive set, and figure out, okay, how do we compare the two? Is it running the way that we expect it to? So we connect to it, and then we start collecting. Now, cloud has opened up all kinds of opportunities for us to collect information, and edge computing as well. Then we can start to compare it. The machine learning and the artificial intelligence that's now available can scan massive amounts of information. We've seen 24/7 inspection regimes, like on railroads and things of that nature, where the machine is doing most of the analysis of the inspection results. And then it helps us make a decision. So do you really just want to get predictive maintenance, or do you want to manage asset condition and performance? We're asking you to up your game, so to speak. Listen, each time you do this, you're going to get it better. You're not going to take a run at reliability and get to that straight line. And you're going to take a run at reliability, then you're going to take another run and another run and another run, and you're going to make 3%, 7%, 12%. Each time, each cycle, you're going to make a bit of progress. We have a tool called RAM GPS that we work with Asset Analytics on to be able to track that global journey. We typically work with, at the enterprise level, multiple plants, 20 plants, 100 plants, and we use an assessment tool to keep track of that. But what we really want to do is focus in on those high value issues that are eating your clock, because that's what will get management's attention. We don't really care about how many work orders. We care about how much did we spend on work orders. And you have got to start using that as a guide. You've got to, every quarter, print out your failures. You've got to create a report that tells you by the number of corrective work orders, by cost. You have got to create that report, also by work order, also by downtime, but cost is the killer. That'll pinpoint you where you want to spend your time. At the end of the day, we added the management system because we saw it was really lacking. People were not looking at reliability holistically. This group was looking at vibration. That group was looking at RCM. This group was looking at storeroom improvements. We really need to get everybody together, and then we need a management system. Just gonna let that sink in for a minute, to coordinate all those activities, and not just those activities. What about when we're specifying? What about when we're designing? What about when we're fabricating an asset? We need to be involved in those early phases as well, because that's where maintainability and reliability is met. So we created a body of knowledge around this framework so people could study it and become certified on it. More recently, as I said, I took the 10 rights of asset management, and instead of the ISO drawing on the bottom of Uptime Elements, I put the 10 rights of asset management. quickly, what we're seeing is that there's 3 real trends, beefy trends, that high reliability organizations are doing. They've got a executive sponsor, or they've managed to get an executive sponsor somewhere, throughout their journey. They've got an asset management system. That means that they've got a way to manage all of those. Justin said, wow, it's such a big framework and reliability is so big. Yeah, it's a lot to coordinate. And you need a specific management system to do that. It's not that, it's just a different way of thinking. Let me say that. Data. What companies are doing now that's so disruptive over the last 12 months that we've seen, they're connecting data much better than they've ever done before. In other words, they're getting data to the right people to make decisions. That's the big advantage of digitalization. And then they've got a robust reliability framework. That's what we're seeing with high reliability organizations. Do you have all 3 of those? A management system, a digitalization where you're really figuring out your data, you're getting your data right, and a robust reliability approach. Those are super important. This is a geeky engineering drawing of ISO 55000, the asset management system that came out of the International Standards Association. Each one of the yellow boxes is a requirement for ISO 55001. And what we're just showing here is one of our clients, Kent Vane from Clark County Reclamation, created an ISO 55000 asset management system simply using Uptime Elements. So it is possible. But what we're really looking to do is align people. We want to align operations with maintenance, with purchasing, with engineering. We want a way to make decisions that's consistent from department to department, decisions about our assets and value. We want to be able to have tools that tell us what our risk is so that it can inform our decisions. And then we want to get out of this 12-month thinking, budgetary thinking. It's okay to have budgets, but our asset's a 20-year asset or a 30-year asset. We need a long-term view for that. And that's really what came out of ISO 55000. Those are the 4 big ideas of ISO 55000 that we work with. Now, the old ways, if best practice is maintenance management if reliability is your objective, best practice maintenance management doesn't really work. It never really did. If you look at what the maintenance experts are telling you to do, they're saying get to this planned domain. You don't want to be in the regressive domain. You don't want to be in the reactive domain. Let's plan and anticipate our failures. And the problem with that is it's like pushing a rock up a hill. You can do it. I've seen it done. Like I say, for a year or 2, you can do a planned maintenance, a planned domain approach, but you can't sustain it. It goes for 1 or 2 or 3 years, but it's really based on almost raw effort. Something happens. The economy changes, you lose key people, and that stone rolls all the way back down the mountain. The trick is getting it over the top of the mountain and have the snowball effect, have it build up for you. For that, you got to jump over to the precision domain and then finally into the expansive domain. That comes from cross-functional approaches to reliability. I like how Maura said it. If you took a coin, on one side is safety for everyone, but on this side, it's safety for no one. You don't even like me saying that. So we have to work cross-functionally because reliability is the exact same way. The tipping point is that precision domain where the asset gets all the care it needs to run perfectly. And then we're not spending our time with our smart people that we've hired reacting. We're spending our time figuring out opportunities to move to the future. Only 33% of Americans are engaged at work. 70 versus 70% in the best companies. Again, I like how Maura said it. Our target here for Uptime Elements is a engaged and empowered cross-functional culture of reliability. And it's reliability for everyone. You can't have reliability for everyone or reliability for no one. Right? It can't be reliability for the maintenance department. Reliability is everyone's responsibility. And when you have an engaged and empowered workforce, it isn't about making reliability happen. It's about letting it happen. You know, Buckminster Fuller said there's nothing in a caterpillar that told you it's going to be a butterfly. Reliability is disconnected in time. Look at that red line. I know it's a lot of information on that graph, but look at the dotted red line. What that's really telling you is your opportunity to improve reliability. I saw an ad from a training company yesterday, or, you know, come to our reliability training and we'll help you improve reliability. Well, unless they're bringing you back to the early 5 stages of asset management, you're not going to be improving reliability. You might be achieving it, but you're not going to improve it. That's a code word. When you hear a reliability consultant or a vendor tell you you're going to improve reliability, and they're not talking about the first 5 phases of asset lifecycle, they don't know what they're talking about. And I would run from them because they are not going to help you improve reliability. Your opportunities to make reliability are in specification. They're in design. You know, if you look at that, if we look at it, when you do design, build, install, and commission, that's inherent reliability. That's the reliability that was delivered with the system. And again, once you turn the switch on, if you look at that red line, once we get to operations, there's very little opportunity to improve reliability. That's the point of that. So, 10 rights. And I'm almost done here. Specify it right, specify your asset right, design it right, source it right, build and fabricate it right, install and commission it right, operate it right, maintain it right, improve it right, and then modify it right if you have to, decommission and dispose of it right, because we are all responsible companies, manage it right, and you should be a happy bunch of people. You know, listen, it's a tough journey. And one that we invite you to make because it is safer and more successful. The most likely person to be injured on your site is a maintenance technician with less than 2 years experience if you're in a reactive environment. Justin and team, I really appreciate this opportunity to kind of come into your world and present. I am a huge fan of your work, of everything you guys write on the blog. I highly recommend people get up there and read that. There's so much good information up there. It's incredible about motors and motor management, motor reliability, motor performance. As you said, I like that word a lot. And then to the audience, I really want to thank you. I view time and attention as a gift, and I accept it that way. And I hope at some point in time, if you have any questions, we can help answer them for you. It's been an honor to present in this forum for you.
Thank you so much, Terence. Thank you, Mara. I don't know what your guys' time looks like if you got to run, or if you have time, if there's any questions. Or
I think we're good. Mara, what do you say?
Yeah, we have 5 more minutes. We want to say that this is for 3 parts, Justin. So we inserted all as we could, but I think it is important for people, if this is the first time you're hearing it, just let these concepts to sink a little bit. You can always send me an email. I can send information on the posters or anything you need. And for the rest that have heard the message, I see a few of you typing that have taken the class. Thank you for being here. I think it's important always to reinforce and listen. You know, the human needs 11 times plus to remember a concept. So we're really happy that everybody's here today. So if there is any question now or later, we'll be happy to answer them.
Yeah, and as well, if you know someone at HECO and you didn't get Mara's email, it's in the chat. But for any reason, we can connect you guys. You know, we believe in what this does, and you know, it allows us to talk the talk and walk the walk and get on the same page with people. So I thank you guys so much for your time. You know, I loved your pause earlier, Terence, when it was. And you've taught me this, in all honesty, and it always was maintenance and reliability. And it still is in a lot of places. And your pause, if my camera would have been on, people would have seen me laugh, because I enjoyed every time that your quote essentially that if you're talking maintenance and reliability, you're talking about maintenance.
Right. That's right.
And that's something that I've learned a long time, because you look at the rights alone. Maintain is the 7th right, right?
It's a little late by then. It's like I've eaten McDonald's, you know, I've eaten French, you know, I'll get in trouble with any. We have clients who make everything, so I'm not going to say what I was going to say. I'm not going to use my metaphor. I've gotten in trouble with that before.
All right, Jeffrey, I don't know if you've allowed people to unmute themselves or anything, or there is a Q&A box or a chat if anyone has anything, but.
Yeah, I'll start to allow people to talk right now.
and I put a lot of information in here. I probably put you on information overload, but I wanted to expose you to the ideas of Uptime Element. And there's probably 10 big ideas that we didn't get a chance to talk about, or maybe more. And people discover for themselves, Uptime Elements fits where you are. It fits where your team is. We never make your team do anything to get to Uptime Elements. We take Uptime Elements to them, and it fits and it's appropriate regardless, if you're using lean, if you're using TPM, if you're using SMRP best practices, it fits with whatever it is that you're using. Whatever you're doing, Uptime Elements fits with it and starts to expand reliability like safety is. We want to have reliability have the same place as safety in your organization.
So yeah, any questions, just go to all the attendees, just unmute yourself and ask away.
And, imagine, people like Maura who came in from the tourist industry, if you have people that are maybe not as technical as you want them to be, they can get a really great understanding. The managerial people, the people in other departments that are not maintenance, that's to me where Uptime Elements has really transformed the companies that use it.
Yeah, and there's so much information here, and as we've said a ton of times already, right? And I think, for those that this one thing kind of spoke to you, we skimmed the surface today, right? So
yeah.
So there's so much more. I mean, you guys have so many stats and examples and history that you can share with people that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. If there's something that spoke to you, go to the Maximo conference, go to the IMC, go to the conferences, get connected. And this is a community, as Mara said right in the beginning, this is a reliability community. And you guys, for me, were that path into the community. In all honesty, I've learned so much from you guys and other people that just share just using LinkedIn alone, how much knowledge is shared every single day on there. I mean, we had to wait for conferences to share that knowledge before, but now we can do it every single day from our comfy chairs in our office or our house or our smartphone.
The other thing I want to say is that you're empowered as a leader. We have seen more than once, many times, and Maura can tell you some of the specifics on it, where people have had absolutely no support for reliability within their organizations. I mean, none. And that's the point that they've started from. And one lone individual without decision rights authority, without monetary authority in the company, transforming the company absolutely and completely through taking a stand for reliability. Now that may seem sort of strange, taking a stand for reliability. Yes, they took a stand for reliability, and the company started to organize around that stand. That's the power of a stand, like Gandhi getting India back from England, like Kennedy sending Americans to the moon in 10 years when we didn't have the metallurgy. It's taking a stand, and then the universe starts to form around that. And that may sound a little Yoda, but we have seen it many times. An individual taking a stand and then attracting a small group of people is all that's ever really transformed reliability.
Looks like we do have a question here. Gavin, your hand's raised. You are unmuted. It looks like you should be able to talk if you have a microphone.
Just want to say hello to Terence and Maura and the team, and thank you for presenting.
Is that Gavin? Gavin,
hey,
from UK?
Yeah, I'm in London. Yeah, can't go anywhere. Stuck down in level 4 here in London. Can't do anything.
Lock it down. Survive the lockdown. We'll be back over to jolly old someday soon. We really miss it over there, Gavin. Very good to hear your voice.
Well, you're welcome in my fireplace anytime, Terence, yourself and Maura.
Terrific. Thank you, Gavin. You're very kind, and we really appreciate all your support.
Yeah, well, you're more than welcome. It's always good to see you. I just wanted to see. At the moment, I'll tell you a little bit of a story. It's about our current university. We've had our at the current university, the computer systems got hacked, and the whole system got shut down. So we couldn't really do any work and all the rest of it. And what we've got is the executive leadership really not buying into sort of security and all that kind of thing. So reliability is really taking a turn, and they're starting to look at their reliability and the particularly in digital asset functions. And I was just wondering if you could perhaps talk about digital reliability and what that means to an organization and executive buy-in?
Well, it's a great question. Thank you. There's a couple points I'd like to unpack with your statement and your question. One is, look, the executive management now is all hyper-tuned because there's been an incident. There's been a security incident. And now they're hyper-tuned. Unfortunately, I'm saying this as true as I can. I'm sorry, I'll always share the truth with you, whether it's good or not. And unfortunately, the driver for reliability is almost just like that. They either have an economic consequence to a downtime incident that's so severe that top management gets involved and starts to drive reliability. Or unfortunately, the other two outcomes are they spill something on all of our earth, which belongs to all of us. That's very nasty. Or they hurt or kill someone. Those are the drivers for reliability, unfortunately. Very few companies wake up in the morning and say, I want to be more reliable. I want to invest a lot of money in reliability. That is not what happens, unfortunately. We need to change that so that they go to reliability just like they go to safety. Now, your second part is digitalization. It is I know there's a lot of hype out there. I do know that. I know every AI, ML, automated, maintenance and reliability and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. First off, two things. Connecting data is so good. Think about it. We have pretty good work processes. We don't find a lot of problems with work processes. Some, but we don't find a lot of problems with them. But what happens is those work processes are completely disconnected from information, the information they need. So they're stopping their work processes from time to time to go find the information, or they find it, it's not really in good shape. It's not really enough to make a decision on. Digitalization starts to change all that. Think about your phone and how much data about you and your life exists on your phone. How would your day be if your phone got lost? How would you get through the next week if your phone got lost? That's how it should be with digitalization and reliability. In other words, we should have it doesn't have to be in a little box like a phone, but in other words, we should have access to that global world of information that we have on our phone. We should have that access about our assets. Why wouldn't we have that information about our assets? So connecting data is the most disruptive thing we've seen in reliability over the last 12 months. These companies that are investing in platforms that are bringing all their data together and then giving the tools to analyze that data to the smart people who work for them. To me, that's a must. If I could jump up and down here and implore you to do anything, it's start learning about digitalization. Go buy a Raspberry Pi, go hire a consultant, go do pilot projects, get started. And I'm sure Justin's got ways to help you out with that.
I also want to state, what we have seen in different companies, not in all, but in many, is that many companies don't know how many assets they have. Many companies don't know what is the most critical asset.
Right.
So the question is, how can we fly if we don't know how to crawl, right? That's kind of the metaphor here. So we do need to have in place how many assets we have, what are the most critical. And then because, digitalization won't happen by itself. Digitalization needs the right information to make the right decisions, the right input. Terence.
I think the problems Morris points out are almost universal. We see them everywhere we go. We're hopeful that digitalization is a driver to change that behavior, because one of the reasons why the data isn't kept so well right now is there's no great ways to use it. It's too hard to access it. But now these new technologies, IoT, connected data, cloud, AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning have all combined to really bring the technology so it's possible in real time. Listen, again, think about your phone as the metaphor. You want your company to operate at least as smart as your phone does.
Yeah, use the analogy that I haven't used it in a few years, but I used to use it all the time. Why can I go on my phone and know more about what my cousin in Ohio ate for dinner than the equipment 10 feet away from my office door?
It's crazy. And, we hire smart people, but then we don't arm them with the right facts, kind of a thing. And so getting the data to the smart people you've hired is probably the best thing you could spend 2021 doing.
I also want to say something regarding the executive sponsorship for digitalization or for reliability, I think it's really important that companies have, besides the marketing department that many have for external branding, should be an internal marketing program to talk about more than safety, also reliability, asset management, because we need to sell these ideas. We need to have this change management and why digitalization is important, what is bringing for me and for my organization. And also aligned to this, it's not only important to understand the aim and the objective of the organization, but also to know what the people to your right and left, what is their personal aim? Why are they here every day? So it's really important to connect not only the technical portion, but also the human part, because at the end of it all, we're all humans and we are driven by different things that you might think the incentive of this person is vacation or better salary. Maybe the really incentive say you did a good work. So, you know, there is so much on the human behavior, and an important piece is when we do the right thing, say thank you and have this reward system and really make a big deal of it. So I just want to say that again, this is like 3-part webinar, Justin, but there is so much more to explore on the human side of reliability. Terence.
And I guess I want to say too, hey, we live in a world, and I don't want to be threatening or anything like that, but I can just tell you, Maura and I have been up to, you know, the most remote part of India. And then you walk into the company and there's Uptime Elements on the wall because they've got a modern manufacturing plant, you know, out in the middle of nowhere. In Congo, you know, a mining operation, and we walk into the office and there's Uptime Elements on the wall. You know, there are people that do what you do, and they're moving ahead of you. Not that you need Uptime Elements. Find any way to make your reliability journey that you want to make. You know, it's fine with me. Progress in reliability. What I'm really trying to say is, listen, a lot of us sit and whine and complain about American manufacturing. You want American manufacturing? You know, yeah, vote. Okay, your first thing is vote. You want American manufacturing. Your second thing is get reliability. I don't want to hear a single thing from you about American manufacturing unless you're doing everything you can do to make sure that your American company is reliable. It's the same in the UK. It's the same in any place, is that you can't really complain about international and global competition when you're not in the game. I can tell you one reason we travel 250 days out of the year, there's a lot of people in the game. There's people who want the lifestyle that we have and they're willing to work for it. They like what we have here in America, and they're hungry for it. We are not going to be able to sit back and run average companies and be successful. Global competition is fierce. Global competition is sharp. It is not political. Politicians can't do anything about it. You can. You can.
A reliable plant is a safe plant, is a profitable plant.
That's right. A reliable plant, safe plant. That's 100% right, Justin.
Can I answer that? I just had a quick question there, Terence.
Yeah.
The implementation to and maturation, so the developmental pathway. What is the litmus test for the outcome? So you've got implementation, buy-in, and the outcome for that. What is the kind of litmus test? Does it make much sense?
Yeah, sure. How do you know you have that? You start to see the trends. You start to see the collaboration between departments. You start to see visible signs of it. There's in Latin America, they call it wearing the T-shirt of the team. So you're showing that you're on the soccer team or the football team, as you guys call it, the football team. So you're clearly committed to it. So you start to see signs that people are engaged in the process, that they're taking actions. It really, in the beginning, almost doesn't matter what those actions are. It's just that so indicators, litmus tests would be how many people are engaged in the reliability journey. Really, that would be a litmus test for safety. How many people are aware of our safety protocols? How many people are educated? How many people are qualified qualified, you know, and how many people are engaged in safety. So if I came to your company and I said, how many people are engaged in safety here? The plant manager would say, everybody. I want that same answer with reliability. So you could start to, you know, count things like that. How many people, if I asked, you know, about reliability that work here, would have something to say about it? You know, so to me, there's the hard side, the technology and the processes side, but then there's the harder side, which is people. And it's getting them, how things occur to everybody at your company is how they're going to be performed. And if reliability doesn't occur to them in the right way, then they're not going to perform reliability the right way, and they're going to add defects into the system. So I would, you know, if you're looking for performance indicators, I would look for, we're looking to remove maintenance. We're looking to remove corrective, especially, but even proactive maintenance. We want you to do less proactive maintenance. First quartile companies spend half the hours on proactive maintenance and half the hours on corrective maintenance as fourth quartile. Because, yeah, they're doing a lot more proactive maintenance in fourth quartile. They're spending twice as many hours doing it, but they have twice as many correctives as well. So you have to focus on those technical failure modes and drive those out with that bad actors report. So the combination of sort of a laser focused on failure and really understanding that, and then that collaborative approach, that cross-functional collaborative blending of the language of reliability, very similar to the language of safety inside your company. Those two things usually combining, that's the spark you need to have a self-sustaining journey.
That's great.
That sounds like the right message for the developmental pathway and the maturation rate of overall in reliability. Thank you, Terence.
Thank you, Gavin. Very good.
I think with that we gotta head off here. But thank you, Mara. Thank you, Terence. Thank you, Gavin, for the questions and the comments. I appreciate everyone's time being on this. I hope that this could be a kickstart for some of you that maybe haven't started your journey yet, and maybe a refocusing and a remembering all the components that are involved, all the elements that are involved. For those of you that have been exposed.
And listen, there's people who self-study this. They go up and they get the books at Amazon. We have a learning management system. There's people who take one-day courses at conferences and workshops and things. There's people that do 5-day courses, and we have a 12-week course, which is once a week for 4 hours to kind of let you stretch it out a little bit. And we give you exercises to do as part of your work. So there's different ways to learn this, but like Justin said, but we also invite you just hang out at LinkedIn. That's where I don't really do a lot of Facebook, and I do a little Twitter, but I'm much more at LinkedIn. And that's where I like to enter into conversations. I learn, like Justin said, I learn so much at that site. You know, look, I've been doing this 41 years. There is not a day that I don't learn something at LinkedIn. You know, I learn something every day.
That's great. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Take care, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we're hoping that we can see each other all in person sometime this year.
Well, and Justin, please let me end. Maybe I can end on that. I meant to start on that. It is so important that we connect during this time, even though we can't physically connect face to face. That my true appreciation for HECO and the team for allowing us to connect through this mechanism. And I really want to tell you how important that is.
Yeah, it is. It is so much to stay connected. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone. Everyone stay safe, healthy. Take care.
Thank you so much.